Anyway, it's so lovely to be here, and it's so lovely to have the opportunity just to interact with Baba's jewels on the West Coast. And you're beginning the silence retreat. And, I think one of my most moving and transforming experiences was in a silence retreat in Australia. It was some time ago that a group of us went between Christmas and New Year to one of the retreat centers near Sydney. And when we met, we were planning the whole week. It was a whole week. And we all bought things to read and write to fill our silence with more doing. And we actually decided we wouldn't read, we wouldn't write. We'd absolutely spend a whole week just with Baba and the self. It was such an extraordinary experience for me. And I think the first realization I had was just how much mental time is spent in communication. And that's a good thing in many ways, but we need to be close, we need to communicate. But sometimes it just takes so much of my mental energy. And when I didn't have to do that for a week, it was like it freed me just to go into the essence of Baba and self-awareness. But also, when you're in silence, sometimes all the old stories emerge, all the old stuff comes. And I began to realize that in silence, we need both, actually. We need to have that incredibly unadulterated time with the lover, our beloved Baba, but also to see what is the unfinished business still inside, because it bubbles to the surface when you're in silence. But the main thing I sort of learned in that week was, even as Brahmins, we are often distracted from our truth. We're so busy, even in service and doing in the Brahmin family, but really, to really spend that absolute unadulterated time with Baba, really, that's the magic of silence. So I hope everyone has that chance over the weekend. And today's Murli, Baba's really saying something I find quite profound. Children, whatever you want to do, do it now. And those of us who knew Dadiji, one of her Maha mantras was, whatever you want to do tomorrow, do today. And whatever you want to do today, do now. Because I think we have an account with time. We all have our own account with time. And you know how sometimes you think, what I really want in this life is this stage, or to do this, or even do some service, but we always put it off. Or when the children grow up, when I move house, when this happens, then I'll give time. And I think that will become a story of the Confluenzator. We're always promising, myself and Baba, I will do this service, I will do something, but I keep procrastinating. And I think near the end, one of the most valuable things will be time. This is the only time in eternity I can really, really feel close to Baba. So we'll start the Murli, and after the Murli, maybe a little bit of sharing or chit-chat or whatever. So the essence for today, sweet children, your bodies are not guaranteed. Therefore, whatever auspicious task you want to perform, do it today. Don't leave it till tomorrow. And a question, what is the way to make everything of yours successful? That is to become prosperous. And the answer, make Shiv Baba your heir, your child, and he will make you prosperous for 21 births. He is the only one who becomes everyone's child and makes everyone successful, everything successful for everyone. However, some are afraid. They think that they will perhaps have to give away everything they have. Baba says there's no question of being afraid. Continue to look after your children, etc. Sustain them, but remember this child and he will make you prosperous. So today Baba is our child. If you surrender yourself to this child, he will serve you a great deal. Om Shanti. At this time, all the children sitting at the centers definitely understand that they are listening to the elevated versions of Shiv Baba. There isn't another organization like this one. That's so true. Those ones too have many branches, and they would also record tapes, etc., where they have their head office, where their guru would live, and they would be remembering him. No one apart from you would be remembering the incorporeal Supreme Father, Supreme Soul. The Paralokhic Father only comes at this confluence age. He sits here and gives you children his introduction, and the intellects of you children develop faith and have this intoxication. The Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, speaks the Murli at this time. It is mentioned in the scriptures that Krishna played a flute, the Murli, in Madhuban. Madhuban is the one main place, and the Murlis are sent everywhere from here. When I started, they had, you may not know these machines, a Gestetner machine. And the way we got Murlis in Australia is they would print the Hindi Murlis on this little machine in Madhuban. They'd post a copy to London. London would translate it, then post to all the centers. So often we got the Murlis after 6 weeks or 8 weeks. And sometimes the post never came. So we had to dip into our collection of old Murlis to read one. We're very spoiled these days. It is in people's intellects that Krishna plays a flute, a Murli. It can never enter anyone's intellect that Shiv Baba speaks the Murli. No one knows that. Wherever your centers open, everyone there understands that Shiv Baba plays the Murli through Brahma, which is then heard by the Ganges of knowledge, and it is then related to others. Their intellects remember Shiv Baba. Shiv Baba is called God. It is not mentioned in any scripture that Shiv Baba speaks the Murli. No matter where you children are, you understand that the Murli you receive is Shiv Baba's Murli. No one apart from Shiv Baba can teach this. The Father himself says, remember me and I will give you your inheritance. Baba continues to tell you children, constantly remember me alone. Don't remember anyone else's name or form. You have been collecting photos of corporeal beings for birth after birth. You have also been saying special prayers, etc. You have now stopped keeping pictures of the deities, etc. Souls on the path of devotion remember the Father. Only when they become body conscious do they remember bodies. The Father repeatedly says, children, consider yourselves to be souls and continue to remember the Father. How many times have we heard that? It's the absolute essence of our life. It is souls that have become impure and unhappy. The soul says, I was an emperor and I have now become a pauper. You have now remembered that you are Baba's children. We received our inheritance from the Father. The Father now says, give everyone the Father's introduction. There is no other task as auspicious as this. You shouldn't delay doing this auspicious task. You know, the most elevated karma the human soul can perform is to offer Baba's introduction to another. And one study Janki gave us a definition of service. She said, that action that brings me and others closer to Baba. And really, I think sometimes that, you know, to become a Brahmin, what fortune is that? It's just incredible. But then to use whatever I have, my thoughts, my words, my actions, my time, my money and energy in God's task, in his service, really that is the most fortunate life. And today Baba has a lot to say about service. But Baba's saying we shouldn't delay in doing this auspicious task. But why is that? Bodies are not guaranteed, neither young ones nor old ones. Therefore, whatever you want to do that today. When you say today or tomorrow, death will eat you up. The Father has opened such a big hospital come university through which you receive health, wealth, and happiness. If you have health and wealth, you are happy anyway. If a person has a body free from disease and has wealth, he is happy. Therefore, the Father says, children, whoever wants to perform an auspicious task, do it now. This is the stamp of this movie. Whatever you want to do, whatever dream. My experience is we all have a dream in our heart of something we want to do for Baba. We're always thinking, when this happens, when that happens, when I get time. Baba's saying, do it now. Simply take 3 square feet of land and open this hospital. Give everyone the Father's introduction. The Father is the creator of heaven, and so you should definitely receive the inheritance of heaven from him. The people of Bharat did not, sorry, I'll repeat that. The people of Bharat did receive the inheritance. The people of Bharat would easily be able to understand these things. They have built temples in their search for God. Those of the Arya Samaj don't believe in the deity. So it's like a Hindu sect or cult, quite popular in India. This is why they believe that all of these pictures that have been created are false. There will continue to be many obstacles because the Arya Samajas used to oppose the Brahma Kumaris because we would show pictures of deities and so on. It is very easy to explain this. The Father's orders are engage yourselves to me quickly. Only by engaging yourself to me can you claim a right to the inheritance. The Father is the spiritual surgeon. You are called his children, and so you are all surgeons. I'll tie it off for today. We're all surgeons. You definitely have to give the injection of knowledge to souls, man manabhav. This is the biggest injection of all. All of your sorrow is removed by having remembrance of Baba. You become charitable souls by having yoga. Yoga is the only medicine. When a son is born and goes into his father's lap, he becomes the master of the inheritance. You now know that you are claiming your inheritance from the unlimited Father by having remembrance. It is in remembrance that there are many types of obstacles. This is why you have to continue to make your remembrance firm. Simply take 3 square feet of land and open a hospital. This is 3 feet of land, is it not? So I think Baba was speaking in Pandav Bhavani, because so 3 feet of land can be a bit bigger. This is just 3 feet of land, is it not? Otherwise, for such an important college, you would need 50 to 60 acres of land where people can come and study and take the injection of knowledge. It is remembered that they didn't even have 3 feet of land, and yet they became the masters of the world. I've been to some centers in the world, they're so tiny. There's, in the original center in Tokyo, honestly, it was like such a tiny place. The Murli room would fit about 6 people. But still, Baba did service from that place. You are becoming the masters of the world, are you not? To have 3 feet of land is not a big thing. It will then gradually continue to grow. After the foundation was laid, so many centers were then opened. So many change from shells into diamonds. Those who do this then experience a lot of benefit. Hospitals and colleges are opened for the benefit of many others. It is the same here. Put up a board outside, clinic for health and wealth for 21 births. How wonderful. Baba's so, his love for service and his ideas, they just always keep coming. In Hindi, it would be said, clinic for 100% purity, peace, and happiness. However, some children don't have any interest in doing service. The reason? The web of family and relatives is said to be like a spider's web. They themselves become trapped in the web. The Father comes and removes you from the spider's web of Ravan. This would not be said in the Golden Age. Here too, people create their own web and die in it. Incredible, isn't it? We create this incredible web of dependent relationships and so on, and spiritually, it takes me down. We die within that web. This is Ravan's kingdom. Ravan's web is so big that it is over the whole world. All are sitting in the cottage of sorrow. All sages and holy men are trapped in Ravan's web. The Father says, now forget all of them. Have the faith that you are souls and continue to show everyone this path. No one else can tell you this secret of the world cycle. The Father says, renounce all of them and constantly remember me alone. Only by having remembrance will all your sins be absolved. And again, Baba says, you mustn't delay in carrying out an auspicious task. So in the heart, I have this dream. One day I'll open a center. One day I'll live in a center. One day I'll do this service. That we always have, there's a whole lot of things that have to happen first. I was saying, don't delay on these pure feelings we have in our hearts. They also give an example of how by delaying a task, a person dies before being able to carry it out. Then when that soul is invited to take the ball that is offered to him, he cries a great deal. It is then said, look, you postponed everything. While you were saying today or tomorrow, death ate you up. You are then not able to take knowledge. Such complaints are then made. Many children think, okay, I will do this tomorrow, but then they die. This is why it is explained to you. What's the reason we keep putting things off? Postponing these auspicious tasks, postponing the dreams we have in our hearts of what we want to do for Baba. Baba's saying that this is why it is explained to you, you have to renounce attachment. Worldly relatives are not going to benefit you. Isn't it such a wisdom to maintain good relationships with our relatives and yet really be able to use all my time and energy as much as possible for Baba? So I'm fulfilling my responsibility to my worldly relatives, but I'm also fulfilling my responsibility to myself in a sense of giving my little finger to help Baba in his task, really giving it good time. Baba says worldly relatives are not going to benefit you. Shiv Baba has now become, the relationship today, he was the surgeon, your child. He says, make me your heir and I will serve you a great deal. This is why Baba asks, how many children do you have? If you make me, Shiv Baba, your child, you will become very prosperous for 21 births. A Kumari goes to her home. They are so anxious to have a son. If someone doesn't have a son, he sometimes gets married 2 or 3 times. Oh dear. The father says your physical children will not serve you at all. This one becomes your real child. He makes everything of all of you successful. However, some people are afraid that they will have to give away everything they have. What will happen? The father says you have to look after your children, etc., but you have to remember this child. So wonderful, isn't it? Baba's so balanced and sensible. Yes, children, you do have your Lokic children. Look after them, but also look after this child, because often we go in extremes on both sides, perhaps. This one will make you prosperous. People go to the temple at Kashi and sacrifice themselves. They believe that by sacrificing themselves to Shiva, they will receive liberation in life. There was a temple at Kashi where they would, as Baba sometimes mentioned, dive on the sword and remove the head, but the British outlawed it in the mid, about 1850 or 1860. Baba says, in fact, this applies here. They have attributed something of one time period to another. If you surrender yourselves to that child, he will serve you a great deal. He will give you a palace in heaven. Those sons will not do anything for you. At the most, they will feed a Brahmin priest. Whatever people donate and whatever charity they perform, they do it. Who do they do it for? They do it for themselves. Therefore, open this hospital, etc. It is such great charity. Wealthy people can open 10 to 15 hospitals. All their wealth, etc., will also be destroyed. You can rent a building and open 50 hospitals with just 50,000 rupees. So Baba's thinking in a totally unlimited way. They will then be able to sustain themselves. The Father is showing you such easy ways to do service. Go to the banks of the Ganges and serve everyone there. Stick Baba's introduction on your back on a piece of paper. So who's ready to do that? Walk down the streets of Calgary or Seattle or San Francisco with a sign on your... There was actually a brother in India who did this. In Bangalore, he would have the picture on the back and the front, and he'd walk up and down the streets. I think Baba's just saying, children, really, this is the time to earn your fortune, to do service. And if we procrastinate, whatever it is we want to do, have the courage and do it now. People will read it by themselves. Renounce body consciousness. If a wealthy person does this, people would say, wonderful. This one doesn't have any body consciousness at all. You have to give the Father's introduction. The Father is the creator of heaven. And so why are we sitting in hell? The Father has now come and he says, renounce all bodily relations and remember me alone. How did Bharat become hell from heaven? How did Lakshmi and Narayan take 84 births? Come and we shall tell you this story. Then so many people would gather together. People consider the river Ganges and the river Jamna to be the purifier. If the Ganges is the purifier, then at least decide between the two. Is it the Ganges or the Jamna? You children have now understood the drama. And so you have to explain to others. If you don't enlighten others, who would say that your intellects are enlightened? If a surgeon is unable to give an injection, who would call him a surgeon? You children have been completely enlightened. You have the secrets of 84 births in your intellects. You know this drama and the acts of the actors. The act of the Father is the highest of all. He plays his part with the children. You are making Bharat into heaven, but you are incognito. This is the incognito, non-violent Shiv Shakti army. Everything of theirs is physical. So many people go to the Kumbh Melas. I wonder how many of you have been to the Ganges and seen. I've never been to a Kumbh Mela, but I have been to the Ganges, and it's an incredible number of people that go to bathe there. So many people go to the Kumbh Melas. There's many millions. And the big Kumbh Melas that come every 12 years, there's countless millions that bathe. Here you have nothing physical. You are on your pilgrimage while sitting, standing, and moving around. You are becoming pure by having remembrance. Baba says, children, continue to remember Shiv Baba while performing actions. They say that God is in everyone. So there is a difference. The Father says, wherever you sit, remember me. You then also have to do the message for today, service, remembrance and service. So many devotees go to the temples. Simply put this picture on your back and continue to give the Father's introduction. He shows you many methods. Go to the cremation grounds and explain them. Baba's giving so many creative options of how to serve, and we have to translate it into our countries. Explain the praise of the incorporeal Father and the praise of Sri Krishna and ask, Now tell me who the God of the Gita is. You should also have pictures with you. You can do a lot of service with them. If a female does this or a Kumari does this, it is her great fortune. Kumaris are the best of all. Kanya, the father of the Kumaris, is the incorporeal one. He was not Krishna, but the father. The father is concerned about how to teach you children. According to the drama, I explained it in the same way in the previous cycle, and I'm also explaining again today. Therefore, you too should become sticks for the blind. The children who receive the introduction also bring others. This too accumulates charity. Each of you should keep an account with yourself. Whatever you do, you will receive the fruit of that. If you bring others, they too can experience a lot of benefit. You children should pay a lot of attention to this business. What would you receive if you don't do service? Service, service, and more service. So this is the theme of today. Service, service, and more service. You even say that you are on God's service. You can also serve everyone at home. The Father teaches you never allow your children to indulge in vice. If they don't obey you, then they are disobedient. If you give them money and they use it to commit sin, then that sin is accumulated on your head. It's a big responsibility, isn't it, that we have to be very wise how we help others and how they use the money that I give them. If I give them money and they do some wrong action, then I also am part of that karmic story. Baba advises you, but there are many who do something and then tell the Father about it. He shows you children many different ways of doing service. You children only have to do this business. Continue to do this service on trains too. And the Father will be pleased, and you will also receive the inheritance of constant happiness for your future 21 births. Acha. To the sweetest, beloved, long lost and now found children, love, remembrance, and good morning from the mother, the father, Bapdada. The spiritual father says namaste to the spiritual children, and the spiritual children say namaste to the spiritual father. The essence. Maya has woven a very big web. Therefore, remove yourself from that web by remembering the Father. Engage yourself in carrying out an auspicious task. Don't trap yourself in the web of any bodily being. Remove your attachment from everyone. Give others the enlightenment of knowledge that you have received. Renounce body consciousness and do service in many different ways. Become a stick for the blind. And the blessing. May you be loving to all and have soul conscious feelings for everyone, and finish all other types of feelings. Would it be okay? I just have to go for a minute and I'll return. I'll be back in just a sec. So sorry about that, everybody. Just a little interlude. So the blessing, may you be so loving to all and have soul-conscious feelings for everyone and finish all other types of feelings. When you are body conscious, many types of feelings can arise. Sometimes you will find someone good, and sometimes you will find someone not so good. By seeing others in their soul form, you will have spiritual love for them. By having soul-conscious feelings, soul-conscious vision, and a soul-conscious attitude, you will be extremely detached and loving as you form relationships with everyone. So while talking and walking and moving around, practice I am a soul. And by doing this, all the many types of feelings and nature will finish, and you will be automatically loved by everyone. How beautiful is that? The slogan, those who have wings of zeal and enthusiasm attain success easily. Those who have wings of zeal and enthusiasm attain success easily. So, Om Shanti and good morning, and very sweet versions of Baba today. And I think Baba really encouraging us to do service. And sometimes I have the thought that, you know, when we remember Baba, we accumulate the power of pure thought. But when we do service, we accumulate the power of pure action. And these, both accounts, are really required. But Baba was encouraging us, wasn't he, you know, to go to temples, go to cremation grounds, probably more relevant in India, of course, but fundamentally his message is do service and it creates your fortune. But the main thing that holds us back is dependence, is attachment. And Baba so graphically described, didn't he, that when we have this dependence, it's like we're stuck in a spider web. And we feel, in my head, I feel I'm trapped, but actually I've trapped myself. My own dependence has trapped me. And, you know, this is what I feel at the moment is one of the most important virtues for all of us is detachment. And when I look at Baba's task, you know, the task has gone through many phases. You know, the first phase was in Karachi, and they did no service at that time. It's actually quite incredible. For 14 years, there was just Gyan and yoga. And I believe that's why the daddies have such a unique vibration, because they really became soul conscious. And that vibration is so unique. And then the second phase was really service in India, and they needed a lot of courage to do that. And because there was a lot of opposition. The third phase, I think, was really serving in foreign countries. And even for that, I think the specialty required was a broad intellect, an intellect that can really connect with all types of people from all types of backgrounds. And then the fourth phase, in my experience, was this massive growth in the yagya. When I first went to Mount Abu, you know, it was just Pandav Bhavan, no Sukdam, no Om Shanti Bhavan. You know, the biggest hall was the meditation hall. The yagya had one car. It was so simple. And yet there was this huge growth. And I think for me, the special understanding I needed at that time was number-wise, the understanding that we are all different. We're all at a different level. It's not a judgment. It's just the reality of life that we are different. And I believe probably the piece of truth from Baba that really helps me accept and understand everyone else. But now we're in the final phase of the confluence age. I think we can all feel it. So what do I need now? And almost every day, Baba reminds us that this world, is just going to collapse. And we're observing the world. All the systems are just collapsing around us. What do I need to manage life at this time? I feel it's detachment. And really it's attachment that blocks me really from creating my fortune in service. And it's a creation of my own that I feel I'm stuck in the spider's web, but actually I can remove myself from that spider's web. And sometimes I think, what are the signs that a soul has absorbed truth into the core of their being? How can I know a soul really is not just knowing God's truth, but living it? I would say first, they're stable. Because the foundation is self-awareness and Baba. That's the foundation I'm sitting on. So no matter how much the world changes around me, I remain stable. Second is contentment. That, my heart is full. I've attained from Baba. I'm satisfied. I don't need anything except Baba. Thirdly, I'd say self-respect. To me, when I absorb God's truth, it heals the relationship with the self. And I develop my self-respect. I take it back again. But fourthly, I would say detachment is such a sign that I've absorbed God's truth into my life and I'm living God's truth. And Baba's detachment, because in Baba's detachment, it comes with love. And really, once Baba said, detachment increases my capacity to love. Because when I'm detached, I can love people when they're good, when they're sweet, when they're cooperative. But I can also love people when they're not so good, they're not so sweet, and they don't cooperate. Because I'm uninfluenced, I can maintain a constant attitude. And this, I think, will become essential for all of us at this time. What is detachment? And for me, detachment is natural. It's my original and natural state. Many of us feel in becoming detached, it's unnatural because the spider web has been a part of our existence for such a long time. And in the golden age, I live in families. I'm completely a family path, a part of the family path, and yet I'm completely and naturally detached. It's so wonderful. It's my natural state to be unencumbered, uninfluenced, unburdened, and detached. And detachment is the state of total freedom. I think one of the most innate desires in the human spirit is to be free. And I can only be free when I let go dependence. But ultimately, for me, detachment is the sign of spiritual fullness. Why? Because I find that when I lose myself in Shiv Baba's my prime relationship in life, then I'm so absorbed in Baba, I'm naturally pulled beyond other influences. And I found, like, I've seen Daddy Prakashmani was probably the most incredible people person I've ever met in my life. She was just the embodiment of love and respect, and yet she was deeply detached. And really, I think it's such a sign when I really have this deep relationship with Baba. Baba pulls me beyond so much, and I remain uninfluenced and detached. And yet, to be detached is, I think, or detachment is one of the most misunderstood virtues, if I can use that word as a virtue, because sometimes we interpret it like a sannyasi style of detachment, that in the name of detachment, I become irresponsible. I don't really fulfill my responsibilities. What do the sannyasis do? They remove the responsibility to their family, even their children and their partner. So sometimes I interpret it and I become irresponsible. Sometimes there's a form of detachment. It's like the don't care. I don't care. You do whatever you want. Actually, I care a lot. But because it's not my way, then I start to say, oh, I'm detached. But this is not real detachment. Or there's even the escapist style of detachment. Because a lot of people can't cope in this world, just can't cope with life, we sort of withdraw into our own world and say, I'm detached. But Baba's detachment, I would say for many Brahmins, they don't even like the word detachment because, it's so misinterpreted sometimes. And some under the name of detachment seem uncaring, aloof, disconnected. That's not Baba's detachment. Baba's detachment is to be very loving, very caring, very close, a really good communicator. So I'm absolutely connected in this world with others, but uninfluenced by. To me, purity is all about influence, or I could say impurity is all about influence. The more impure the human soul, the more things affect me. The more I remember Baba, I'm pulled beyond this being affected. I'm pulled beyond influence. And so I really feel, seeing our world at the moment, Baba wants us to serve. It's so important to become very, very detached, but very, very loving. Who's the most detached of all? Shiv Baba. But who's the most loving of all? Shiv Baba. And really, when we understand that actually true detachment actually increases my capacity and ability to be loving. It's one of the pinnacles of spirituality, to be absolutely loving and yet absolutely detached. And really, when you look at the golden age, because I'm full, I don't need anything. I'm completely detached. Even when someone leaves the body, we love them, we respect them. I just get on with my life. Maybe they will come up in conversations and they'll just be love and pure feelings, but no sense of loss at all. Attachment, in a sense, is when I identify and take support from anything temporary. Detachment is when I identify and take support from anything temporary. My temporary body, my temporary relationships, etc. And when I have attachment, it gives birth to two very, very powerful children, fear and insecurity. The more I'm attached, the more fear I have of loss, and the more insecure I become about the future. What is detachment? Detachment, I would say, is to identify and take support of that which always exists. And in a sense, we are moving from attached love to detached love. And when I become truly detached, my foundation is only on that which always exists. If I attach my heart to anything temporary, I build suffering into my life. I'm doing it. When I feel insecure, fearful, etc., it's my attachment that is the mother or the parent of those feelings. And so this is why, to become detached at this time is really such a state of wisdom. To base my life on that I'm an eternal soul, you're an eternal soul, Baba is my eternal parent. And when my foundation is based on that which always exists, then I can become really strong once again. And in a sense, I think this is the extraordinary education that Baba is giving us now. Children, just refocus your life from basing your heart on that which is temporary to basing your heart on that which is permanent. And then you become naturally detached. And I love the idea that detachment shouldn't be forced. You know how sometimes things happen and we think, I mustn't be affected, I mustn't be disturbed, but I am affected and I am disturbed by things. But actually, when I'm really close to Baba, I'm naturally uninfluenced. And Baba, is often telling us, children, become detached from your body. That is the secret to let go the account of sorrow. Children, become detached from your role. And when I do that, I overcome competition and jealousy. Children become detached from others. This is really, the Maha Mantra of God, the one who retains all truth, is forget the body and the relations of the body. And once Baba said, when we're attached, we have this game of sort of like and dislike. We get caught in that human game of I like these ones and I don't like these ones. And you know what Baba said? Something really interesting. He said that dislike is a royal form of selfishness. If I dislike someone, it's a royal form of selfishness. Why? Because they don't behave in the way I like. Everyone has to behave according to my rules and my system. And if you don't, I dislike you. Baba said this is a royal form of selfishness. It's incredibly deep, really. Baba, to heal us of all the pain of relationships, we have a relationship with Baba, and then we become detached from all human souls, but extremely loving and extremely close. And this is our life now. And really, I think to manage into the future, this natural, loving detachment, detached involvement is so important. And for me, how much dependence do we have? As I was saying, Baba says, I'm detached from the body, detached from my role, detached from others, detached from my story. That's a really deep one. We all carry a story in my memory track. What people have said, what people have done, how people have treated me. I would say this is our main attachment. I'm with Baba in the present, but I still carry the hurt and pain of the past. Even that, I have to let go. I have a new life now. But sometimes we so identify, this happened to me, they've done this to me. And because I can't let it go, really, it holds me back. I remain stuck in the spider web. I even have to become detached from my story. And I would say even detached from the outcomes and results, because I think the nature of human beings, because we're empty, we got all our sense of fulfillment from doing an action, getting praise, getting respect, getting love, getting support. And so we often have a huge expectation at the end of my action that it should be like this. The result should be according to my liking. And when it's not, massive disappointment and hurt and upset. I love the way Baba repositions this. It says, first I take from Baba, and when I come into action, I make effort, but whatever the result, I remain detached. I accept. This is something so incredibly important for Brahmins, because sometimes we transfer our old behavior of doing an action to get a feeling, get a result, get respect, get praise. I bring it into the surface field. And when I do that, then I develop resentment to people who don't really appreciate me or don't really respect me or whatever it may be. But I think some of the real dependencies are the beliefs I hold about myself. Sometimes we have this ingrained belief that I'm not lovable, that people don't really love me or value me. And I'm so deeply attached to this perception of myself that even when people offer me love, I can't experience it. And probably the most powerful belief that I'm deeply attached to, I have a deep dependence on, is that I'm not good enough. Whatever I do is never good enough. So I'm attached to this perception of self. This is the deep work of this life, is to break down these sort of beliefs about myself, because they're false. And Baba's giving me a new set of beliefs about myself. And another dependency or attachment I find is being attached to being a victim. Many times I feel a victim of situations, even in the Brahmin family. And I'm convinced in my head that it's unfair and I'm a victim of decisions and everything. Anyone who feels a victim hasn't understood the law of karma. According to the law of karma, we create our own destiny. We are creating our own life. And if I'm really feeling I'm just a victim of this and a victim of that and a victim of situations and people's decisions, I haven't really understood that actually wherever I'm sitting now is my creation. In the whole scheme of things, no one is a victim. And it's like freeing myself from all these subtle dependencies which we create, the subtle dependency to want praise and respect when I do something for Baba or I do some action. And I love the idea we came naked with nothing at the beginning of the cycle, not a body, not a relationship, not a role, nothing, not anything. And at the end of the cycle, I get stuck in the spider's web that Baba's talked about. Gyan frees me. How free have I become? And have I really become so free that I can really live my dream that I want to do? What did Baba say today? Whatever you want to do, do it now. And I love that. And I really feel if we keep procrastinating, and sometimes in my head, the reasons and excuses that look very real, but actually when I take power from Baba, I can put it into action now. And that was such an powerful message for me today. Whatever dream I have in my heart that I want to do in my self-transformation, if I want to do for Baba, do it now. Really put it into practice now. And I think it'll increase my self-respect, because we have a deep karmic account with time. And I feel at the end, this will be the biggest thing for Brahmins, that I knew Baba, but how did I use my time? Did I really use it for self-transformation and serving the world? Or did I get caught up in all the petty stuff, the petty situations? Or did I really live my dream, to help in God's task to change this world? Anyway, I've been rambling on for a long time, and as Judy was saying, I have to go, and we've got another Murli in San Francisco. But Judy, so lovely to see you and be with the family. And I'm, the San Francisco Center, that little room at the top? Well, I'm sitting in that and the sun is streaming through it. As you can see, I'm sort of, I don't know whether you can see me. There's
You're
so
bathing.
much light.
You're bathing in the light. I just wanted to say, Charlie, I have come to, I don't even know what to say because we received so much this morning. But perhaps two things. One is I'm not sure we want to let you go. That's the first thing. But then I'll get in more trouble than I already am. The second is I don't know if I need breakfast because we have received so much through Baba's Murli, and then you're sharing, inspired by his Murli. So much was firing inside of my head based on the sharing and the Murli that is a beautiful foundation for today. And there were a couple of stories I was going to share based on it around Dadiji and Jagdish. There's no time, but I will quickly share Jagdish Bai. I remember towards the end of the time in his body, he was sharing, we were all crammed in the hallway on the second floor of Sukhdam because he was sitting in the room, right?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Oh, yes. And he gave a class and it was beautiful. And at the end of it, at the end of the class, he said, do you know why I'm telling you all of this? And there was truly that pin drop silence. Do you know why I'm telling you all of this? And Jagdish was so scholarly, and I think some thought he's very detached, but he was incredibly loving. He said, do you know why I'm telling you all of this? And he said, because I love you.
Oh, wow.
And there was not a dry eye in the place. And I was reminded of that because I felt so much, not just your wisdom, but your love. Your sharing was filled with so much love for the family that we all move forward. And there was, truth. We have to look at these things in ourselves, but was wrapped in so much love that I think we're all very, very open to looking at these things in ourselves. So we're thanking, last night we thanked Baba so much for the gift of our fortune in our lives. And this morning, I'm thanking Baba for the gift of you. Thank you for taking the time, squeezing us. And we'll let you go. But if we can have
Thank you so much, Judy. Really appreciate your love and everyone's love. And thank you, everyone on the West Coast. It's been so lovely to be with you and hope to see you again somewhere sometime. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Judy. Really lovely.
Can we take 1 minute in silence just to share the eyes? We can all go to gallery and videos on and all that Zoom stuff.
Yeah, that'd be lovely.
Om Shanti. We'll let you go if we must.
Thanks again, Judy. Thank you, everybody. So sweet to be with you. Thank you. Have a wonderful silence retreat. Thank you.
So we'll just again post a program for the next session so that you're aware. It's the same Zoom link that you were on last night. Nice. No, some are just joining. So we're going to give you that message, that information. Here is the Zoom link. You can take a picture if you need to, write it down, but the same one as last night, 11 o'clock a.m. New York time. So that's 9 o'clock in Mountain, which is Calgary, etc., and 8 o'clock on the West Coast. So you have a little time to reflect and prepare for the next session. Thank you to translators. You did not get a chance to catch your breath, but thank you. And thank you all for joining. It was a very sweet Snehaminan. Om Shanti. Oh, yes, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. We're going to breakfast together.